I am 34 years old, and I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in a sun-washed adobe home with creaking wooden floors and windows that glow gold every evening. I work as a historic preservation consultant, which means my days are spent walking through old buildings, listening to stories trapped in brick and dust. I love that kind of quiet honesty. I was engaged to Lucas Marino, a landscape architect who believed in slow mornings and strong coffee. Our wedding was planned for early October at a small vineyard outside Espanola. Nothing extravagant, just family, friends, and a desert sky. From the outside, my life looked settled. Inside, there was one silence I had never filled. My father, Harold Whitman, lived in a gated community near Scottsdale, Arizona. He built a regional construction empire and believed authority was the same thing as love. When my mother left him, I was 16. He told me she was weak. When I chose a career he could not brag about, he called it wasted potential. We spoke twice a year, always briefly. He never met Lucas. He never asked to. When I mailed him a formal wedding invitation, cream paper with pressed sage, I did not expect a response. 2 days later, my phone rang. He did not congratulate me. He asked who was paying for the wedding. When I told him Lucas and I were, he laughed once sharply. He said a daughter who married without her father's blessing was making a public mistake. I told him I hoped he would come anyway. He said he would not allow this wedding to happen. I hung up with my hands shaking, but I still believed he meant emotionally, not legally. I was wrong. 3 weeks later, a courier delivered a legal notice to my office. My name was typed in bold. So was my father's. He was seeking an injunction, claiming I was mentally unfit to enter a legal marriage due to emotional instability stemming from my childhood. He cited therapy records from years ago that he should never have had access to. I sat alone at my desk as the building's old clock ticked above me. The walls felt closer. I had built a peaceful life, and he was reaching into it with paperwork. Lucas did not raise his voice when I showed him the papers. He read every page, then asked me what I wanted. I wanted to run. I wanted to fight. Mostly, I wanted to stop feeling like a frightened teenager again. We hired a local attorney in Santa Fe, Maribel Cruz, a woman with steady eyes and a voice that never rushed. She told me the case would be heard in family court in Rio Arriba County. My father was forcing my wedding into a courtroom. The vineyard kept sending emails asking for final confirmations. My dress hung untouched in the guest room. Friends offered help I did not know how to accept. At night, I dreamed of standing at the altar alone while my father watched from the back, smiling. Maribel warned me that my father's lawyers would try to frame concern as protection. She told me to speak only when asked and to trust the truth. Trusting myself had never been easy around him. The courthouse in Tierra Amarilla was small and beige, with a flag that snapped loudly in the wind. My father sat across the room in a tailored suit, surrounded by 2 attorneys. He did not look at me. Lucas squeezed my hand. I could feel his pulse, steady and present. The judge entered. Her name was Judge Evelyn Porter. She had silver hair pulled back neatly and eyes that missed nothing. My father's attorney spoke first. He described me as fragile, emotionally reactive, prone to impulsive decisions. He said my father feared I was being manipulated into a marriage that would harm me financially and psychologically. I stared at the table, my jaw tight. Then Maribel stood. Maribel did not raise her voice. She spoke about my education, my career, my independence. She submitted letters from colleagues, friends, and my therapist who confirmed my emotional health. When Judge Porter asked if I wished to speak, my chest tightened. I stood anyway. I said my father had not attended a single milestone of my adult life. I said love without respect is not protection. I said choosing my partner was not instability, it was clarity. My father finally looked at me. He looked surprised. Scene 10. The judge's silence. Judge Porter leaned back, fingers folded. The room went quiet. Even the ceiling fan seemed to pause. She addressed my father directly. She said the court does not exist to preserve control disguised as concern. She said adulthood does not require parental permission. She said mental health treatment is not evidence of incapacity but of responsibility. Then she dismissed the case. Scene 11. Words that shifted everything before leaving the bench. Judge Porter looked at me again. She said, "You are not on trial for wanting joy." No one spoke. My father sat frozen. I felt something release in my chest that had been locked for decades. Scene 12. After the courtroom outside, the sky was wide and blue. My father walked past me without a word. I did not chase him. Lucas wrapped his arms around me. I cried then, not from fear, but from relief. The wedding was back on. More than that, my life was mine again. Scene 13. The wedding day October arrived warm and clear. The vineyard smelled of earth and grapes. I walked down the aisle with my mother, who smiled like she had waited years for this moment. Lucas cried openly. So did I. There was no empty seat that day, only full hearts. Scene 14. What I learned. I learned that love does not demand obedience. It invites choice. I learned that authority ends where autonomy begins. Most of all, I learned that standing up for yourself can sound like silence breaking. Scene 15. Closing reflection. Now, when I look at my wedding photos hanging in our Santa Fe home, I do not see conflict. I see courage. I see a woman who stopped asking for permission and started living honestly. That was the day I married the man I love. It was also the day I finally chose myself.